good morning, good afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. It's been quite a while since we had our last Zoom event. And since you've made the effort to join us today, let me bring you up to date on what's happening with my time and energy. I am presently working on finalizing details related to the San Francisco Convention, which will take place this coming Tuesday, October 25 through Saturday, the 29th of 2022 in San Francisco. It'll be the 3 years since our last in-person convention program in Minneapolis. And I don't know about you, but I can hardly wait to see everyone in person. The San Francisco brochure will be mailed in May this year. This is earlier than usual, so we can get the feel for your attendance, and happily for you, I'll be offering a major discount on registration so we can have an early commitment on how many persons plan to attend. This is needed related to reservation for buses, lunches, and dinners provided in the program. I know you understand my predicament, and let me tell you, the program is exceptional as planned and coordinated by the San Francisco Convention Planning Committee, made up of Vince Fasone, Chairman, Dessa Goddard, and Raymond Lum. Please read in full detail my preview of the convention in this forthcoming issue of the Spring Journal, which you will receive also in early May. Thanks to our wonderful editor, Claire Chu. She's doing an exceptionally fine job. Now I am addressing our American members, if they are on the screen, who registered for the virtual and recorded Taipei convention. Please continue to be patient. Your books are on their way to the USA, and according to Roseanne, due to arrive between February and May. They are somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, and hopefully they will arrive sooner rather than later. It's sad that the Europeans and the Asian members who registered all have gotten theirs, but not the Americans. Anyway, we're patient. Another item on my remarks today, please make a note to reserve Sunday, May 15th, beginning at 11 a.m. I know it's a little late for the Asian people, that we will have a presentation seminar by Andrew Singer, whose topic is Chingta Chen stories, molded porcelain snuff bottles, and the tales they tell. This presentation is immediately followed by the ICSBS annual business meeting, beginning at approximately 12:30 to 12:45 p.m. After the meeting, there will be a social hour. This is on May 15, a Sunday, right? There will be a social hour by those who are not board members. And Julia will be sending out notices in good time, as proxies are needed for the annual meeting to vote on the new slate of directors. Now back to the business at hand. I want to thank John O'Hara for prodding me to once again begin this lovely and informative get-together and focus on his new research related to bottles. His seminar today is Crystal, the Brightness of Three Suns. If you wish to hear it again, it is repeated at 12 noon Eastern Time today. Without further delay, let me turn over the microphone to John, and thank you for coming.
Okay, I wanted to thank everybody for their time, and I did spend a lot of time on the program, so it's nice to have people watch the program. I wanted to do two seminars, one for my Far Eastern friends, who it's the 12 noon one would be too late for them. And I like talking about bottles anyway, so what's the difference? I always enjoy that. One of my favorite categories, besides jade and all the other things, is crystal. Over the years, I've collected quite a few examples. I wanted to do a talk on basically three main groups, the clear crystal, smoky crystal, and hair crystal or rutilated quartz. and of course the variations of those three. I was surfing the internet and I found a site called, let me get the name correct here, Yun Boutique from China. Apparently it's a weekly journal, and they had a history of some of the crystal in China. And one of the things they said was, which I don't know if it's true or not, Richard would probably know, the ancient symbol for crystal was 3 sun symbols in a row, which seems extraneous, but I could understand that in a society without clear glass, a piece of clear crystal as a vase or a censer would be a wondrous thing. It'd be almost magical. Therefore, it was highly prized in China even before the Qing. So that kind of makes sense, but I've never seen a Chinese character with 3 symbols. But kind of an interesting note on it. Of course, the name for crystal is, I'm probably pronouncing Shijing, which means water crystal. Some of the earlier names for it were water jade, because it certainly had the clearness of water and the hardness of jade. So I think that is also kind of interesting. So I've put together, groups of my bottles, which I've collected over the years, and have a program I hope you enjoy. Okay, the first one is from the Denny's Cowell collection. This particular group is found in a lot of the major collections. It's always the super flawless crystal. There isn't a flaw in the entire material. It's perfectly clear. Whenever they got this, I would say probably in the 18th century at the palace, they must have had a large block of it because they made a lot of these particularly shaped bottles. They all have the similar shape. The mask handles are also quite interesting to this group. The eyebrows on the bottle are kind of hairy, and they go out and they form the first loop of the hair. So you can see it here where it goes out and into the first loop. The foreheads are always rounded, and the highest quality carving on the handles. Totally perfect. The bottom view, as you can see, I can see all the way through to the bottle. A perfectly flawless material. The second example is a little bit taller. The first one was 63 millimeters. I have the sizes here. This one is an impressive 69 millimeters. This is one of my early spoon attempts, which I made look like snake-like, but I've made quite a few spoons over the years. This particular bottle in this view looks perfectly clear. Couple inclusions, nothing major. Handles a different variation of the original bottle. These are, not hairy, a little bit more rounded eyes, same scroll work on the head. And the bottom, again, an elongated, raised carved foot rim. The major difference in this bottle, though, is they've left the drill marks inside the bottle. Now, my opinion is this was done on purpose, because when you polish a bottle totally clear, like the first example, you don't have the reflective quality of these drill marks. And as you turn it toward the light, you can see the vertical marks here and the semi-vertical marks here where they've actually done the initial drilling into the bottle. So I've had 5 or 6 of these with the same drill marks that give it this reflective quality. Next example, quite a rare example to have a cylindrical bottle in crystal. This is unbelievable hollowing up into this neck area. In fact, you can see the stain here on the top of the bottle, which I tried to clean like 4 times. Even with a bent wire, and something on the end of the wire. I can't get in here. I don't know how they hollowed this bottle and polished it. It totally blows my mind how they got up in here. It's hollowed all the way up to here on the neck and out to the edges. It came with this old spoon. This one is 61 millimeters. It just blows my mind, the hollowing on this bottle. Again, the base rim, we have a nice round raised carved foot rim. And the bottle's super light. I'm not saying it's a floater, but it's the next best thing. This example is a true floater. Unbelievably thin walls, all the way up into the neck here, totally out to the edges, even into the base, totally hollowed out. Again, not the same quality piece of crystal as the first bottle. You know, you can see some inclusions here on the bottom, and definitely some inclusions here on the side view. But the hollowing is just totally exceptional. And this one is 53 millimeters, so a little over 2 inches. The base here is a slightly indented round base, but this bottle has a soft polish to it from handling. The whole bottle is so smooth, and even the base, you can see a little wear. Should I have polished it? That's you know, just personal taste. The next example, this one was displayed at the Walters. I don't know if Bert remembers this one, in 2019, which Claire picked out. I have a couple double bottles. This one is almost flawless for a double bottle. The quality of the quartz, the grinding in here to separate the bottle, raise the panels on all 3 sides. Just a very fine quality crystal bottle. This one is 52. So that one again is not a large bottle. The base, 2 nice rounded oval foot rims, a little bit of inclusions on the base, but nothing major, which is in the main part of the bottle on the sides. The next example, which is one of my favorites shape-wise, the round shape with the 2 concave snuff dishes. Again, very, very fine material. The hollowing is exceptional, but what I like most about the bottle is the handles. And I have a close-up on the next slide. This particular handles, if you look at it, it's got hair coming from the top, which goes underneath this extended loop on the hair, almost looks like a horn, and then goes down here outside the bottle on both sides. Double lines on the forehead and double lines on the handle. So this must be a particular shop that did these particular handles. Kind of an angry looking face than the other ones, but very, very high quality. Again, a nice raised rounded foot rim, oval. Thinner than the other ones, more of an 18th century style foot rim, a nice rounded, not the big thick foot rims you find on some of the other bottles. The next one, this is 62 millimeters. This one comes from the Jerry Mack collection, Sotheby's 1997. Again, exceptional piece of crystal. Very nice hollowing. You can see a little thicker sides, not a floater, a little thicker on the base. Side handles with the elongated rings because it's a taller bottle, which matches the bottle. Again, a thinner head. And again, the eyebrow sort of going toward the hair, but not quite as distinct as the other ones. Foot rim, again, a nice round, oval raised foot rim. Very nice material. Very nicely done. The next one is a melon shape, 58 millimeters. Fruit shapes in crystal, a little more rare than regular bottle shapes. This one is exceptionally fine piece of quartz, a little heavier base, make it stand up, which you'll see on a lot of bottles. Leaves and tendrils coming down here on the sides. This is a leaf, there's the tendril. And again, came with the nice coral top, which I was happy to get, possibly original. The back view again, you can see the leaves coming down here and the very nice hollowing and finish on the bottle. The base, everything coming down to a round flat base, which I would consider normal on a melon shaped bottle. The next example, 65 millimeters. I found that any figural bottle in a hard stone is pretty rare. They're not that common. This particular one is a boy with a lotus flower slung over his shoulder. What I like about this is they have hollowed all the way into the arms and all the way into the body. It's very, very light. Again, the material, not perfect. You can see some inclusions down the base. Now the boy with the lotus, it says, may you continuously give birth to distinguished sons. So that's the meaning of this particular bottle. The reverse, you can see the lotus flower here and the pad here. And again, not a perfect material, a lot of inclusions down the base, inclusions through the body, but quality-wise, excellent, excellent quality. The top on this, I just love it. It's made out of spinach jade, and I can consider it the original top. A lotus with a lotus. The fit of it, the look of it, everything looks right to me on with the top. The next example, we're going to get into what you can do with crystal bottles. This one's 67 millimeters. Skins. So a crystal, again, can have a skin just like a jade bottle. This one's kind of unusual. It's very low relief. It's got the plum and some rock work at the bottom. Size-wise, let's see here, 53. So it's not a big bottle. The back perfectly clear, no carving. A little bit heavier on the base down here. Some inclusions in here where the stopper goes. But you can see how thin the skin is up here. And it's got these interesting red dots in it, the impurities. A little bit of the impurities on the foot rim. So again, when the impurities turned in the stone, they incorporated that into the foot rim. And again, a nice raised carved foot rim. The next one is a more high relief. This one's an impressive 67 millimeters. So it's a much larger bottle. I kind of like large because I have big hands. But this one is high relief. The skin or the inclusion is used as rock work over here. And then you have lotus coming up around the rock work. Very well hollowed. For a big bottle, you don't want a really heavy piece of stone in your hand. So I consider the hollowing exceptional for a large bottle. And the reverse, it's hard to see. I probably should have taken another picture, but there's a small hut here on the bottom. And then, of course, under a huge pine tree, and then the rock work comes from the other side of the bottle here. But a real nice bottle, well hollowed. It has the, what I'm not saying original, but a horn collar, which is actually starting to break from age. So I had to re-glue that a couple times. And the foot rim, a wide raised foot rim. Here you can see how thick the rock work is on the top here. And again, not a flawless piece of stone. The next one, this is 62 millimeters. Kind of interesting. This comes from the Gary Mack estate. So whether he inherited from the father or he was a partial time collector, I don't know. But it's kind of rare to have a crystal bottle with an amethyst embellishment. This is added. So they added the piece of amethyst to the bottle, and then they carved up the stem and the leaves for the lotus up to the embellishment. Again, not a great material. You know, I've tried to clean it like 16 times and let stuff sit in it. It's just not a great material. But I like the embellishment and I like the, you know, the carving on it. You know, the reverse with a duck. And again, if you look at this, it almost looks like there's snuff in there, but it's not. It's just the material is just not great. This one I particularly like. Can you call it a citrine bottle? It does have a yellow tone to it. The carving in the front has more yellow than the bottle, but even the bottle, when you hold it up to a light, is yellow. It's got a yellow tint to it. The carving again is a Shao Lao. There's a deer under a peach tree and some rock work on the base here. Again, a very nice hollowing on a bottle that's 60 millimeters. So not too big, not too small. The reverse here, again, a clear reverse, which you can see through to the front of the carving. And a little heavier on the base down the bottom. And then the handles remind me of the first bottle, sort of a slant-eyed, you know, with the eyebrow coming up into the loop, kind of a connected nose area with the loop. Side view, you can see how thick this citrine is on the front here. So you got some nice thick carving on there. And then again, the base, you can see the nice oval base, but look how thick this is up here. And it gives it that yellow color to it. The next one is another citrine variation. This was 53 millimeters. And again, you have the crab with the citrine inclusion in the crab. And this I'm going to say is millet instead of reed because it has the grain looking ends on it. And a nice smaller bottle. 2 bats on the reverse. And again, a little thicker on the base for the standing. Foot rim, again, not clearly defined, but obviously an oval foot rim in low relief. And again, you can see how thick the carving is up top here. And a nice small bottle. This is one of my favorites. This is 76 millimeters, so it's a really good sized bottle. But it's a tour de force of carving. It's just unbelievable that they were able to use these citrine inclusions all the way around the bottle. This one has monkey, deer, pine, bamboo, rockwork, and on the back it has a long-tailed bird and lotus. This is a close-up of the monkey, which is unbelievable. It's a downward reclining monkey. Here's the ear, eyes here, and here's the mouth. You can see the leg here coming down in a sort of a squattish position. The use of the material is incredible. You can see the pine here. All the needles are carved all the way around the monkey. Unbelievable bottle. It's again, one of my favorites. Reverse, here's the long-tailed bird here. You got some lotus coming out from another inclusion, citrine inclusion on the reverse. and it's unbelievable. A really impressive bottle. This is the base. You can see the citrine all the way around the bottle here. It's got a concave base, and it is freestanding. Quite a nice bottle. The next one, this is was shown in the Michener Museum in 2004 that John curated. He picked this one out, and you were here too, Bird. You picked it out also. This one is 53. Again, two, I'm going to say goldfish. I'm not really seeing whiskers on these, so I'm going to say goldfish. Close up would be better here. You can see the mouths touching. So again, a bottle probably for a happy marriage, which would be appropriate. Again, a very stupendous piece of crystal, totally clear. You can see the back. This is all reflection from the front. And again, a little thicker walls and a little heavier at the base. Very, very nice bottle. Bottom here, you can see the koi here, or whatever it is, goldfish coming down into the base a little bit, and then you see the foot rim. Whether this foot rim was worn or repaired, I don't know. It's not exactly even, but pretty close. This is a subgroup of the crystal bottles. This one is 63, so it's a decent sized bottle. Call it sea spray, ice crystal, whatever name you want to call it, but it does have these crystalline inclusions in the bottle. There's a lot of variations of this form. I actually see more of them in amethyst, quite numerous in amethyst. Again, very nicely hollowed into the sides, and then of course the thicker base down here for the balance. Mask handles, again, not as fancy as some of them. The more rounded eyes, low relief instead of high relief, but still acceptable. And of course, the base, you have your oval raised carved base, not as high as some of the other ones, but decent looking and not a bad looking bottle. Okay, the next subgroup is going to be tea crystal, smoky crystal, whatever term you want to use is fine. This one is an impressive 69 millimeters. Hollowing is exceptional. Very, very light for a larger bottle. Bamboo on this side, as you can see. Rock work on the base. And plum, and there's a butterfly in here somewhere. I just can't see it on the picture. I'd have to look on the bottle, but there is a butterfly. Again, hollowing way up into the shoulders here. And actually a very, very nice larger bottle. And the foot rim. Again, very, very nice shape, the contour of it, the polish, all very, very good. This example is kind of interesting. 59 millimeters. This was actually sold by the auction as glass. And the reason they sold it as glass was the hollowing is all the way up into the shoulders. It does have the fluted sides, and the hollowing is all the way out to the sides, except for a little bit here on the base, which is very minor. You can see right through the bottle. But of course, the giveaway is if you look at these little inclusions in it, there's little black dots, which you wouldn't find in glass. An exceptionally nice bottle. Side view. Slightly raised panels front and back. You can see the lines on the raised panels here. And a very nice foot rim, which again is almost see-through into the bottle. So again, a real nice find. It was listed as glass, and this was years ago, of course. The next one everyone's probably familiar with. 55 millimeters. This particular one, when you have these in Smoky Quartz, there's a reflective quality to it that's not in the regular quartz or even a jade. Highly reflective when the light hits it. This basket weave is extremely high relief, which I'll show you from the bottom view. This is the side view. And when you hold it up to the light, you can see how thick these weaving patterns are. I mean, really high relief. And again, a flat base, which I would expect on a basket weave bottle, but highly reflective, which is kind of nice. The next one, again, one of my favorites in Smoky Quartz. This is a 73 millimeters, so it's a substantial bottle. It has a figure under a plum tree, rock work on the base. And again, the quality of the workmanship is just excellent. It's very, very good. The back of the bottle, totally clean. You can actually see the spoon with no problem. But what's most unusual about this bottle is it's signed. And I find very few bottles, especially hardstone bottles, that are signed. I had Richard translated. It's master, I'm probably not pronouncing it right, Jitiag, Jitiag. So obviously, if it's a master signed it, he's the one that carved the bottle. Again, all the calligraphy is raised. The base of the bottle is left frosted and the calligraphy is polished. So you're talking a lot of work just to get this calligraphy to come up from the bottle. It's a massive amount of work. The amount of workmanship in it is exceptional. A very thin raised foot rim here, as you can see. And again, some of the skin coming down here to the base of the bottle here, but not a distraction from the carving. Again, very, very nice and rare to have a signed bottle. This example, again, one of the ones I really like. This one is 70 millimeters. It's got skin all over the bottle. The interior is super well hollowed, a nice material. And on this particular one, you have, again, longevity symbols. You have pine, you have a butterfly, you have a ling chi, you have a deer over here, you have a monkey, which I'll get a better picture of that in the next one. There's the monkey. And it's just all over the bottle. The interior is super well hollowed. You can see the spoon here. And just a really nice bottle in your hand, very, very smooth. This one's interesting. A little background on it. It comes from the collection of Morris Lesser, who John says he remembers in the bygone days. Morris Lesser was a collector in Philadelphia. And I was contacted by an antique dealer that I had business with. I knew him. We had some bottle dealings. Well, he went up to North Philadelphia to appraise an estate, a living estate, of a 92-year-old woman who happened to be Morris Lesser's sister. And he called me on the phone and said, "What are you doing tomorrow morning?" And I said, "Nothing." He says, "Well, you got to come to North Philadelphia and you got to look at this collection." She was going into a home, and these bottles had been sitting in the vitrine untouched on the wood stands since 1966. Untouched. Just dusted. I walked in the house, I was blown away. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This particular one, I have his index cards and all his information, which he gave me. This particular one's one of his favorites, which I understand and don't understand because he had a lot of great bottles, jades, everything. Sort of a green dendritic skin, not quite rutiles, even though there might be some in the skin, but the skin is raised and of course a melon form, but the interior is slightly frosted. So you can see the outline of the spoon here. A very nice bottle. Again, kind of on the large side. This one is 59, but a very nice bottle. And from a very nice collection. There's the other side with the leaves. And again, the skin is only on the one side, but the hollowing is exceptional. The base, you can see the lines coming down as a melon form. Here's a tendril and a very small indented base. It is freestanding. So actually a very nice bottle. This one is 66. Again, a darker kind of smoky crystal. Because of the black background, the white skin is even more dramatic, which I kind of like.
Dramatic.
Obviously, Shao Lao, the deer, and a bat. Again, actually a 3D carving is done pretty well, you know, for a skin on a crystal bottle. The reverse with pine and a small hut right here, if you can see it. Again, some rock work on the base. Well hollowed, but not a floater. You know, very nicely done. The bottom, you can see how thick the skin is here. That's pretty thick. Again, a nice oval raised foot rim. Kind of nice. The next one is the new group. And this would be your Tourmaline needles, 55 millimeters. These have different kinds of reflective qualities. The bottles with the Tourmaline with the...
Prøver å få ned volumet, men jeg kan ikke se at jeg kan få gjort det.
The bottles with the longer, flatter needles tend to be more reflective. This is one of the best ones that I've ever seen. The reflection is all over the bottle as you turn it in the light. It's just really a step above some of the other ones. I have about 10 of them. And this is the best one. This is just unbelievably reflective. Again, hollowing, not a floater. You can see the hollowing outline here. And they reverse with a nice clear area, which I like to see on Tourmaline bottles. I don't like to see them just black. Again, you can see the spoon here. A very nice bottle. And the base. Nice oval foot rim, you know, heavier needles on this side. Another of the Tourmaline, which is kind of interesting. The lapidary who found this actually found the seam in the stone where the needles ended cleanly. I mean, how long do you have to look for that? I don't know, but you know, this is the edge of the seam. It wasn't polished out over here. That's where it ends. So he made a 50-50 bottle, sort of a yin yang kind of description. This one came out of a collection that I bought years ago in the Catskill Mountains. Very, very interesting bottle. And you can see the reverse again. This is the seam right here. A little bit of inclusions here, but to find this clean space and actually cut that out of the stone and line it up into a bottle must have taken a lot of work. And again, not the best quality stone. The bottom again, here's the seam and the base with a kind of a raised indented base. And a small bottle, let's see, 57. So not a big bottle. This one I like, there's so many variations with these rutilated quartz. I like them when there's free space and then you see sort of the grass growing out of a certain spot, and some of them are used for inside painted bottles, as you know. But I like to see clear space in some of these bottles. Again, this one is a impressive 70 millimeters. So it's a good sized bottle. The reverse, mostly clear. As you can see the spoon here, it's, it is well hollowed, but again, it's not a floater. And kind of a nice bottle in the hand. Again, a raised carved oval foot rim. Nicely done. And the next bottle, this comes from the same collection as the half quartz bottle. 63 millimeters, so decent size, but they've used the rutiles on top of the crab shells. And I have a better picture. But again, an impressive looking bottle. It came with this nice top and spoon, which I like. And as you can see on the close-up, the rutiles are on the shells of the crab, mostly. Got the claws, and then you have the millet here coming around all sides. And nicely done, the placement of the rutiles and the carving. And the reverse with lotus. And a little bit thicker on the base, which I would expect. But a fairly clean piece of stone, except for the, couple inclusions in here. And then the base, here's the crab here. This is interesting. Not only is it somewhat peach shaped, obviously there's a notch down the base here, but it has the rutiles and the carving. So it's got a trifecta. It's got a Ling Chi here with a double chain hooked up to a rui, hooked up to a stone chime. And then for whatever reason, there's a bird or a goose or something down on the base, but not the best clear piece of stone that you can see easily. The reverse with a kind of a nice landscape. Mountains here, trees, and this could either be the sea or a lake. And kind of nice. The opening, very unusual. It's got a large oval opening. You can see the pieces that have fallen off or broken out. Why they did that kind of opening, I don't know. I don't think it was added from a broken neck because it has a raised opening here. So if it had a broken neck, they wouldn't have the raised opening around the oval. So obviously it was there. And there's the base. And again, it's got some green inclusions. You got black tourmaline, just a lot of stuff going on in this bottle. This one is kind of nice. This one is 61. It has the red needles, which is titanium dioxide. This one has been well used. It has that soft polish on the surface. I would say black is the most common. The second most common is probably red, and red, I would say, dates back into the 18th century also, because Bud Swain had one in his collection, which was very early. Again, nice spacing of the needles, a little heavier on the foot. The reverse. And again, a kind of a raised indented foot rim. Soft polish to the bottle. This one's kind of neat. The paperwork I got with it says it comes from the estate of Chiang Ching-kuo, who was the son of Chiang Kai-shek. So I thought that was kind of interesting. All the paperwork is in Chinese, so I don't know. But a nice bottle. Red rutiles, the hollowing, the finish, a little thicker base. Very nice handles, very well done. And a nice oval foot rim. And that one is 55 millimeters. This one reminds me of the master bottle. I mean, if you put the two together, they look like they're from the same hand. This one, instead of being smoky, has the rutiles. Pretty much similar carving on the skin, low relief, chrysanthemum. Again, the finish of it, the raised panels, the front and back, everything reminds me of the master bottle. Back plain, more rutiles, no signature. But again, you can see how thin the skin is here on the carving. This particular one I like. Again, some rutiles, some green dendrites, more like a moss agate. Two horses under pine. But what I think is most interesting about this side is the muzzle, or the what do you call about a horse muzzle of the horse is sort of missing until you turn the bottle.
Oh, bridle.
And you see it's in clear quartz. So my opinion is the horse down the bottom is drinking. His muzzle is underwater. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. Again, some Buddhistic symbols on the reverse. You have a two books here open with a handle with a ribbon, a fan, and a double gourd with a ribbon. So ribbon would be long life. And yeah, not the best material, but a nice size bottle. I know Joey doesn't like big bottles, but 66 millimeters. And it fits in the hand. It's kind of a thin profile and it's kind of nice. Here's a picture of the two books, which I found unusual to have a handle. But these look like open books. And here's the picture of the muzzle. The muzzle's here. Can you see it? This clear section here is the horse's muzzle, which is, so the inclusions ended and they decided to, make it out of clear. Again, a flat base, which I would expect. This one's kind of interesting. This comes from the DuPont collection. And if any remember years ago, the was sold at Sloan's. Kind of an interesting carving. You have, again, the green dendrites and the green rutiles here. You have a food lion on this side and what looks to be a Lohan taming the food lion. Kind of an interesting motif. And on the reverse, I like anything with calligraphy. The translation I got was, may blessings and wealth come to you, which is the closest translation I got. I should have Richard look at it, actually. But again, a very nice bottle with the finish on it. Material-wise, again, it has a lot of inclusions in it. The bottom's got a real large white inclusion on the base here. Again, a flat base, which I would expect. And lastly, we could probably all agree on these gold rutile bottles are late. This is the best one. I have two others, but this one is actually made for use. I mean, it actually is really well hollowed up into the shoulders here. The placing of the rutiles is nice. It has a, kind of a different looking, interesting setup. There's the reverse. And, perfectly usable rather than a cabinet piece. And there's the bottom. And that concludes. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, John. Very nice. I have a question.
Okay.
Could you have shown some Suzhou crystal bottles? Or at least one or two?
I'm only showing what I have in my collection as far as I can study it. Multiple views, check the bottles out.
I see, rather than a picture, which may not be quite as.
Yeah, I mean, you're not getting the feel of somebody actually checking it and handle it. But I mean, Suzhou, I would deal more with agates and jades. I know master, like Joey's favorite term, master of the rocks, and the crystal master, all these terms are more crystal oriented, would be, the crystal master bottle, which I would assume the large one would be under that category, and the one with the goldfish would be under that crystal master category.
Christine, you want to evaluate on your comment? Unmute yourself, please. Let me see if I can.
Yes, the book and the fan
Yes.
and that long tube. The
Yes.
long tube is a musical instrument,
Okay.
and the fan and the gore are mostly related to Taoist
Mhm.
symbol. The gore for longevity.
Yeah, I found those symbols in the books that I have, but I couldn't find the tube because I thought it was attached to the books.
No, the tube is a musical instrument. It's a
Okay.
flute or whatever.
Oh, it's a
But
flute.
when they are grouped together, it's most definitely a Taoist symbol.
Okay, thank you.
John.
Yeah.
John, may I add that this is actually the hidden symbol of the 8 immortals.
Which one is it?
Four of them.
This, I'm trying to
That's
pull up.
The legendary 8 immortals.
Oh,
Each of them carry a particular characteristic kind of symbol. So this 4 looks like they are from the 8 immortals, but there are actually 4 there.
Okay. I'm trying to think of which one it was.
The one that Christine just mentioned, the 4 instruments that you just showed earlier.
Okay, this one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I thought this was a handle or something. I couldn't see the definition between this. Looks like 2 books.
No, those are actually a musical instrument.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see it. The picture on it is.
And this is actually the symbol of this Chao Guo Chiu. And then you have the double god, which is the symbol of Take Quietly.
Okay.
Then you have the flute, which is the symbol of Hang Xiangzi. And the other one, sorry, I can't remember what was the other one.
The fan.
The fan, that one is the Han Zhongli.
This is like a fan here.
Yeah.
Right down there looks like a fan. And the ribbon seems to travel around from one to the other. And that's a long life symbol, the ribbon.
So this border could be part of a pair.
Okay, thank you.
Joey, you want to add some comments about?
Yeah, first of all, John, I'm assuming you were being facetious because I only use Masters of Rock to refer to blue and white transitional ware, porcelain. If you Moss tries to sell stuff referring it falsely to stone or stone ball. So I assume that was your
Yes.
intention.
Yes.
All right. No, because I got Asperger's. I don't know. Now, anyway, great lecture, and I was amazed because, well, actually, Susan had asked me, where do the different types of quartz come from? Were they found in China? Were they brought in? Do you know anything about that? About
what I've read is that the material was available in China.
Right.
Because it was pre-Qing, where they would have, sensors or vases or, the orbs, like the one at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. They got a big one.
Yeah.
And, you know, to have a piece that large is really impressive, considering glass was unknown.
It wasn't unknown.
Well,
There's glass in China since the Roman period, but clear
Yeah.
glass. No,
clear glass,
you're right.
clear glass
Yeah.
was unknown, but
Yeah.
they were not, you know, glass was more porcelain. Why would you need glass when you have porcelain?
Well, there's
But,
different uses.
Yeah,
But,
but I mean,
by the way, do you know about, there's a magnificent collection of imperial quartz vessels in the Ottoman collection at the Topkapi Palace Museum in Istanbul. And they
Oh.
have some pieces that are 2 and 3 feet. I mean, I don't know where they came from. I believe that they had mentioned some came from China.
wow.
There was a gift from the Chinese, from the Qing emperors, or even the Ming emperors, over to the Ottoman sultans after they were in Istanbul after 1453. So you're still getting Ming, but also a lot of Qing things came over, as well as, of course, the blue and whites they got.
Yeah.
But a great, great lecture. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Is there any other questions?
Yes, I have a question, John. Thank you for the lecture. The first 2 bottles that you showed, they were very clean, and I learned later on your lecture that you are cleaning your bottles. And one day I learned from Claire too that cleaning bottles was not meant to, you shouldn't do, or
No, you always want to clean them because, first of all, you want to check for damage and inclusions. I mean, half the stuff I buy has still got snuff in it and all sorts of tape and crap on it. You can't tell if there's damage. And if it's a piece of clear crystal, I want to see how good it is.
okay, so you're talking about cleaning crystal is fine, but
Always.
if you clean ivory, it's not.
No ivory.
Yeah, not organic.
No ivory. No,
Okay.
no, let's put it this way, no organics at all. I mean,
Okay.
you can ruin them really, really fast.
Yeah.
If you were to put nail polish remover, which is what I use on stubborn stuff, on a coral bottle, I mean, that might ruin it.
No.
That's just crazy.
Okay.
And even inside painted bottles, I mean, you really take a risk if you want to clean those.
No. No, I was not intent to do so.
But I like to have them clean inside and out so I see what I have. And again, damage is really important.
I understand. And what about another thing that you mentioned, that figure crystal bottle is rare, but what about sometimes you see horses, you know, like reclining horses.
Well, I'm talking about snuff bottles.
Yeah, but that's a snuff. I can't show it, but I think in our collection there is one crystal bottle.
Is it a horse-shaped bottle?
Yes.
Really? I'd like to see that.
Richard
agrees.
Yeah.
Because I have one like that too.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I've seen double fish bottles.
Yes, those I've seen. I've seen some fish bottles. But as far as like the figural bottles,
yeah,
I used to have one in aquamarine, which was really nice. And I've seen some jades, I've seen some agates, but I don't see a lot of them compared to the bottle-shaped ones. I just don't see them.
They're rare, much rarer.
Much more rare. I mean, not even a question of rarity. So if you have a horse one, that'd be pretty rare.
Okay, I'll send you a picture of it.
Please, yeah, I'd appreciate it.
Could I just make a comment?
Sure.
Firstly, John, I'd really like to thank you for that lovely, enlightening lecture and for sharing your collection. Also, to tell people, you probably all know this, but one feature about crystal is that it feels cold to the hand.
Yes.
So that's one way you can tell if it's glass or crystal. Yes. Because on first look, this figure could possibly be
dirty glass.
Right.
But if you hold it, I'm sure it feels really cold.
Yeah, it's cold. I mean,
well-
after a thorough cleaning, that's another reason to save it. Is it glass or crystal?
Yeah,
I mean,
That-
I wouldn't even
Yeah, I
think
use
about
quartz.
not cleaning it.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then,
Quartz is a term, not crystal, because crystal can also be lead crystal. So I always use quartz.
Yeah.
Quartz.
Because that way, quartz, there's no question. Quartz is the stone. By the way, if what I do is I hold it up against my cheek because
yeah,
stone,
Yep.
this is the most sensitive part of your body. And when your hand gets cool or warm quickly, but if you hold up against your cheek, that's the most sensitive. And if it
Yes.
feels cold on your cheek, you know, it's by the way, if it's once you've held it a little while, it gets warm. So if you put it back in the box for a few minutes and then put it up against your cheek, it actually, you can tell better.
Yeah.
But
Well-
but I agree with John. It's extremely rare. First of all, Figaro bottles, except for in porcelain, and even in porcelain, are rare. But
More rare.
certainly outside of porcelain, there are all those ivory ones, but they tend to have been made between the 1930s and 1970s in Kyoto, Japan.
Yes.
Most of them. There are some Chinese, but there aren't a lot. But I mean, most of the Figaro bottles I've seen have been organic materials.
Yes.
And that's so rare. Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, I was also going to say, sometimes when you put snuff in a crystal bottle, it can look really beautiful, and the patterns that are left, you know, so I think it was very interesting when you showed the early bottles, which were pretty flawless inside. They'd really hollowed them out.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas some of the later ones, they were left rough, I think, because they would create nice patterns.
Yeah, I mean, the ones
with
with the drill
snuff.
marks like this one,
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
could see that the snuff and everything would stick to it, or
yeah,
it just has a reflective quality that the polished ones don't have.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
to
yeah.
me, that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's intentional.
Yes.
It's
And-
definitely intentional.
I also wondered, can you show us the wonderful bottle that's hair crystal, which sort of, you see the needles ending in the V shape?
In the cutoff, yeah.
Yeah, the cutoff. I have never seen anything like that. That's
haven't either.
unbelievable.
The
Yeah,
yin and yang.
That's the only one I've ever seen.
Yeah. I absolutely, that was just amazing.
I mean, imagine finding that
Yeah.
and finding
So
that
here it is.
seam in the metal, in the material is amazing.
It's just extraordinary, isn't it?
It's
And
weird because it looks like it's been cut off. It
Yeah.
doesn't.
It's
you don't have
it's,
any-
it's
don't see
straight.
you don't see any rutiles or tourmaline needles sticking past it, which is really
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that's
Um,
right.
The
So-
bottle
Which-
just got a haircut.
Sorry?
Yeah.
The bottle just got a haircut.
Yeah.
wonderful
Yeah.
tourmalinated quartz.
No, that and I, you know, for the craftsman to have that block on his work surface
Yep.
and decide to cut it
Yeah.
in that way to
Yeah.
get that pattern, because
Yeah. And even the other side is,
yeah, well,
Yeah.
like the other side, John,
Yeah.
I don't know
This
about
is-
anybody else, but that other side,
Yeah.
if you could go to the other side, is that possible? I mean, I see, if only I could point to it, in the middle, I see a dragon's face, the two eyes. up
Yeah.
top there,
No,
I see
lower,
that as
lower.
a dragon with his eyes, and then he's, you know, doing a shooting of flame down.
this.
Yeah,
Oh, wow, yeah. So that big
Wow.
brown thing is in the middle is
Yeah.
the snout,
yeah,
Wow.
dragon snout. That's very cool.
Yeah. These are
Yeah.
like two
Now
eyes
I can
here.
see it.
yeah, or even further to the left, those two black marks there
Yes.
and there are like two eyes, and then the shooting of the, you know, fiery flame. Anyway, that's just me.
That's just you.
So John, can I ask you about this bottle? Is that the piece where the hair crystal is that less strong than the white part of the stone?
You mean means strength wise, as far as the quartz is concerned?
Yes.
Well, the tourmaline is still hard.
Those are natural tourmaline
Yeah,
roots,
needles.
needles,
Yeah.
and they're just as strong as the other quartz.
Yeah,
If not,
it's-
actually, they might even be stronger.
Yeah, tourmaline's in the quartz group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really a mixture. The interesting thing is the tourmalines were formed, the crystals were formed before the quartz. The quartz was basically, in effect, mud, and then it was under pressure and heat, it became clear quartz. So it's not that someone stuck the needles in. The
No,
needles
I know, but maybe that one side has been pressed due
No.
to climate change or whatever.
No, first of all, climate change is bullshit, but that's a different issue. But the thing is, no, this is millions and millions of years. And no, it's no weaker. It's just as strong as the regular quartz.
This is maybe a question for Richard, whether you know whether the crystals were meant to have properties, like we talk about crystals having healing properties,
like amethyst or
yes, or rose quartz. Did the Chinese believe that in the 18th, 19th century, or not? Maybe not. I don't know.
Yes, they do.
They
In
do.
fact, they believe that different type of stone will actually have different properties, and each
Yeah.
has different healing abilities.
Yeah.
So, like crystal is one of the most popular stone that people like to have.
Wow.
And the other one is amethyst. Amethyst is known to
Amethyst,
bring you fortune.
Well,
And
actually,
normally they will place it in the house. But for quartz crystal, you normally like to wear it as a, either a bracelet, a ring, or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Nice.
thank you for that. Yes, I never knew whether it had such a important connotation. Thank you.